Blackjack tables are full of drama, excitement, and sometimes absolute disasters. Whether it's a rookie mistake, a hilarious misstep, or a moment that makes everyone cringe, we've all seen or heard about those blackjack horror stories that are almost too crazy to believe. Today, we're sharing some of the funniest and most cringe-worthy moments from the blackjack world. And hey, we want to hear your stories, so drop them in the comments. Let's start with a classic horror story. The player who decides to go all in. Picture this. The guy sits down at the table, throws down his entire bankroll, let's say $500, on one hand. He gets dealt 12. The dealer shows a 10. What does he do? He hits and busts. But instead of walking away, he screams, "The dealer rigged the deck," and storms off. The lesson? Never bet more than you can afford to lose. And don't blame the dealer for your bad decisions. Here's a story that makes even experienced players shudder. A player gets dealt 2 10s, a hand that's as close to gold as it gets in blackjack. What do? Instead of standing, they decide to split the 10s. The first hand, a 6, for a total of 16, and they bust. The second hand, another 6, for 16 again, bust. Meanwhile, the dealer flips over a 7, and then a 10, taking all the chips. The whole table groans, and one guy mutters, "I didn't know splitting 10s was allowed." The lesson: never split 10s. It's one of the strongest hands in the game for a reason. Then there's the card counter, who thinks they're the next Rain Man. This player loudly announces they're counting cards to anyone who'll listen. They adjust their bets dramatically, throwing in big stacks when they think the deck is hot. The dealer, smiling politely while signaling the pit boss. Within minutes, security shows up, taps the player on the shoulder, and escorts them out. The lesson: if you're going to count cards, keep it to yourself and stay under the radar. Now let's talk about the player who blames everything on luck, or lack thereof. This is the person who refuses to sit at third base because it's cursed, taps the table 3 times for good luck, and even yells at the other players for ruining the flow of the cards. One time, a player was so upset that someone hit on a 16 and stole their 10 that they actually stood up and shouted, "This table's rigged." Spoiler, it wasn't rigged, they just made bad bets. The lesson: superstition doesn't win games, math and strategy do. Finally, let's talk about the insurance mistake. A new player sits down, sees the dealer show an ace, and immediately takes insurance on every single hand. By the end of the night, they've lost more on insurance than they did on their main bets. The lesson: insurance might sound like a safety net, but it's almost always a bad bet. Avoid it, unless you're a pro card counter and know the odds are in your favor. Now it's your turn. What's the funniest, most cringeworthy, or downright unbelievable moment you've experienced or seen at a blackjack table? Share your horror stories in the comments below. We might feature them in our future videos.